Hey guys, I had good intentions of going through this process with you together, but I got a call that I had to get some Christmas stuff ordered because my husband was at the bank to put the money in, blah blah blah. And then my phone went stupid and I overflowed on the stuff I was making in the first place because of all this. So, but now I want to walk you through this because I love this little recipe. When we was growing up, uh, we didn't have a lot of money and stuff, so mom would a lot of times, and my grandma, I remember my grandmother doing this too, would make cocoa for us that wasn't, the Nestle Quick Cocoa and all that kind of good stuff that we have nowadays, the powder form that you mix up. And I grew to where I loved it better than what you buy in the store after later on when we did buy stuff in the store like that. And I make it for my grandkids and myself because I still drink it some too. I actually had it this morning with my breakfast because that was a big thing when I was a kid, was having chocolate milk with our breakfast. But we milked cows, so milk was our primary beverage whenever I was growing up anyway. But I made this little recipe and I'll just get to tell you about it now because I've done got it made. It's here cooling off. It's actually warm. But it's cocoa is what it is. And what you do is you take your little kettle, put it on the stove, and you mix 1 1/4 cup of water, add 1 1/2 cups of sugar, and 3/4 of a cup of cocoa, like Hershey's cocoa in the powder cocoa, like you cooking cocoa. Or you can use other chocolates that would be equivalent to that if that's what you have on hand. Because I have used block chocolates that you would bake with as well, cook with as well. And then just a dash of salt to help mingle all the flavors in. And you bring it to a boil and let it boil for 2 minutes. And then take it off the stove and add add a teaspoon and a half of vanilla after you take it off the stove. And mix it in and then let it cool. And I keep this in the refrigerator, and it takes generally about a tablespoon's worth in a glass of chocolate milk. Say this glass if it was milk, probably a tablespoon's worth, depending on how rich or non-rich you like it, because it is a little richer than the cocoa you buy in the store, so be aware of that. But it's really good. My grandkids absolutely love it. They think every time they come to my malls, if it's in the morning, they have to have their chocolate milk, which I drink it with almond milk myself, and I love it with almond milk. I can't really tell any difference. I get the unsweetened almond milk though too. And they have to have Mama's gravy, and they've got to where they prefer toast with it instead of biscuits. I mentioned before how I was a single mom for a lot of years and stuff like that. And my mom and dad, they were kids during the Great Depression, and therefore a lot of their ways of doing things came into our lives as we were kids, and I'm very appreciative of that. There was a lot of kids that had a lot of better things than we necessarily had according to the world's standards anyway. And when you're a kid, you kind of can feel that somewhat as you get a little older and teenagers and all that kind of stuff. But as a small child, you don't really think nothing of it. But now that I'm an adult and I look back, I am so thankful for those things because that's what made me to be who I am. My grandmother on my dad's side was half Chippewa Indian, and so there was a lot of things engrafted in there as well. And I'm just really appreciative of it. I've even found out some of the things that did come from Indian stuff that we did, and I didn't realize it at the time when we was kids that that's where it came from. But this was something that we got from my mom's mom that she did, and I'm sure it was something during the Great Depression as well. Easier to make and cheaper to make, and so on and so forth. But we had, I remember a time, and this isn't to say anything about having sympathy. I'm actually grateful for these times because it makes you appreciative for one thing, and it shows you that something don't have to be great and fancy to be good. Because I make these stuff now just because I like it, not because of lack of stuff, but just because it's good. And my grandkids, they're learning that too, because we make I remember a time when I didn't have no milk, and all I really had was some flour and a loaf of bread and just, a few things here and there, but I didn't have any milk. I do remember, specifically not having any milk in the home at the time, and wondering what I was going to fix, for us to eat. And I remember just making a roux out of my flour and a little grease, because I always kept my bacon grease and stuff like that anyway. Or you can use oil, vegetable oil, whatever. And making me a little roux, and then using water in the place of milk to make me a gravy. And then I would take bread, light bread, and I would toast it. And we would have gravy and toast. And I make that for my grandkids all the time. When they come over, that's what they want. They want gravy and toast, which I use milk with it. Actually, I use half milk and half water, just to kind of save on the milk somewhat. Plus, milk don't digest like it used to years ago. And I've even made it with almond milk just for me, and it tastes just fine as well. And then the chocolate milk, and it's just like that's the mama meal that we got to have whenever they come over. And that tickles me, though. I like that. It blesses my heart, because I can remember wanting those type of things whenever I was a kid from my grandmothers and such. So it's a blessing, and it's teaching them how they can make a meal out of little or nothing, because it's good for them to learn those things, because you don't never know what kind of situation you're going to be in life sometime. So I think it's good, and I'd like to actually do some more videos, and I probably will, on just some other things that we've made through the years that we still make that came from having less than in the original, intent of having it, but it's become a normal thing in our family to eat. It's like we call them flitters, which flitters in different states are different things, but we've always called these things flitters. And I found out that these particular ones that we make a lot actually came from the Indians, and didn't know it. And they call it something different, though. I forgot the name. I actually wrote it down, though, so I would know. But see, there was an Indian tradition that we picked up through the generations and made it into something that we do on a regular basis now, even, and didn't realize that's where it originated from. So it's cool to find out those things. I love that. It just fascinates me, and it helps me know that things aren't dying down. I guess that's probably part of it for me, because part of the reason I like to do YouTube is because I feel like a lot of the traits from farming to gardening to husbandry, animal husbandry, which all that ties into farming, but just breaking it up, and the skills of knowing how to survive on little, those things are dying out, because we live in a world that is so consumed with having stuff that it's a dying thing. It don't even sewing, for that matter. You're learning to do your own sewing, learning to build things yourself, and such like that. That's so dear to my heart, and that's the main reason I wanted to do YouTube in the first place, is to help share those things. And it's great finding out that there's a lot of other people with the same heart that's out there that's doing these things and wanting them to be recognized again by our younger generation. And I can see that on some of the other YouTubers' hearts in some of their videos. But anyway, I will hush now. But I wanted to share that little thing with you. It's very good. It's very economical. It's hot right now, but it's very, very good. I'd like for you to try that. I think you'll like it, and you'll see that. And I'll leave this in my fridge. This will last for a long time in the fridge. So just leave it in your fridge. And it'll kind of thicken up some, but it's not like the Hershey's syrup in the store. You can get it whatever consistency you want to. It's, you can get a little thicker, you can get a little thinner, depending on how long you boil it and so on and so forth. I like it about 2 minutes and then let it cool. That's about for me. But anyway, until next time, God bless. See you later.